The Florida affordability crisis is worsening. And let's face it, the affordability of Florida housing has been a disaster for most buyers for the last several years. And I don't know if you can see, but look, there's a U-Haul there. I suspect there's going to be a lot of U-Hauls making their way down to Florida in the very near future. But I want to address the elephant in the room, right? Because the reality is, as bad as affordability, there's no such thing as good or bad or right or wrong as it relates to home values. There's just simply the reality of what the market is. And the market is always right. It's always optimal for someone in the market. But I have tremendous empathy for folks who have been sitting on the sideline, waiting for a crash, waiting for mortgage interest rates to come down, trying to time the market, and simply have not had any success. And in the interim, all I've seen is home values continue to appreciate, to continue to uptick. There's also a lot of home sellers that believe that we are in the frenzied market where they can dictate price and they have all the leverage. And that's simply just not true. So there are plenty of deals to be made. There are many instances in which we've been able to negotiate discounts where we have the sellers paying for buyers' closing costs, paying for a buy down of mortgage interest rates, discounting their home price. I mean, there are lots of levers to pull in order to get buyers better deals. But I just got off the phone with someone who, previous to the Mamdani win, in fact, they've been shopping for a home and working with me now for years, longtime watchers of this channel. So if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Please subscribe, like, comment. I will respond. And if you're a longtime watcher, then I appreciate you sticking around. But I'm back, baby, better than ever. Boom, we're live. So right now we've got a panic happening, and Mamdani winning was a tremendous win for some folks, and they are very happy. But most people that I talk to who have any roots in the Northeast, specifically in New York, they're furious. They can't believe this happened. It's almost impossible for me to believe that someone who was affiliated with the bombing of the World Trade Center, but it absolutely blows my mind that somebody who was affiliated with the Silent Imam, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, could become elected to the greatest city in the world, to become mayor of New York City. How is it possible? And yet, the youth came in, they voted, they showed up, they did their patriotic duty, and they got exactly what they wanted, which was the promise of rent freezes and free everything. Well, it only took one day for Mamdani to come out and beg for money. There's a site he put out where you can donate money to his cause. Evidently, he realized that the programs that he intends to fund, the source of those funds have to come from somewhere. And I can tell you where they're not going to come from. The wealthy people, the 1%ers, the billionaire class that lives in New York, they are leaving in droves. Now, the buyer that I spoke to was a bit in a panic, a bit in a frenzy. They can't believe, they're literally shocked that this guy won. And I had to kind of talk him off the ledge a little bit, because the truth is the billionaire class is not your competition when you're buying a home. And yes, I do believe there will be an influx of buyers. And yes, the ultra wealthy could always do whatever they wanted to. They can buy what they want when they want it. And right now, there's a lot of them that are flocking to Miami. There are a lot of them that are flocking to Miami Beach. But there's also a lot of them that are coming to premier luxury communities that are built out for families to come in, max out South Florida living to the fullest, and thrive in Boca Raton, in Delray Beach, in Boynton Beach, in Wellington. They are coming here, but it's not an overnight thing. And so the clients who I'm working with that must move, the husband got a job offer, and And it sets him up to win and his family to win. They finally get to max out the freedom of South Florida that they have desperately wanted to gain, but that dream is becoming a reality. And so they were really kind of panicked that somebody might step in because there's not a ton of inventory in the places that they want to buy. There is a housing shortage, although there is a bigger supply of homes sitting on the market unsold relative to the recent past. There's still just not a whole lot of inventory. But that's not the competition. And for a family to up and move based on an election result, that's just not going to happen overnight. That's going to take time. It's going to take intentionality. It's going to happen. But the upwardly mobile, the wealthy, the people who have the means to do so, they're going out there right now. And they're buying waterfront property in Fort Lauderdale. They're buying waterfront property in Boca Raton. They're buying waterfront property in Delray Beach. They're buying Manalapan. They are out there in Palm Beach Island, not the county. They're buying 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, $50 million homes, and they will be 100% safe and secure. And they're going to relocate their companies. They're going to relocate their headquarters. We've already seen that happen. Ken Griffin did it already. Jeff Bezos. I mean, the ultra rich are already here. Mark Wahlberg just bought a property in Delray Beach, and I happen to work out at F45, which is basically right around the corner. I hope that he shows up so that we can work out together, because he's one of the owners of F45. And so there's a tremendous amount of wealth that's already here, and there's a tremendous amount of wealth that is coming soon, because they're just simply not going to pay the insane taxes that Mamdani must inflict in order to get anything done. Those hikes are 100% coming. Just watch his victory speech. Mamdani's policies make me sick. And the fact that so many people bought into his absolute lies also makes me sick. But what I feel is irrelevant. The market is going to respond the way the market responds. And money talks and bullshit walks. So yes, there is going to be an uptick of relocation buyers that are moving to Florida, and South Florida and Palm Beach County and Broward County and Miami-Dade County will benefit, but I don't suspect it's going to create a frenzy in the market tomorrow. I know there's going to be an uptick, but it's going to take a lot longer for most regular folks to move and relocate their business and start their lives over in South Florida. But it's coming. Now, let's get back to the affordability crisis, because supply and demand will always dictate price, and there is no more land to develop in South Florida. It does not exist. You can't replicate land, unfortunately. There's no more land to develop. And so the resale market is going to be on fire. And I don't expect to be at like the frenzy, because mortgage interest rates aren't at 3%. But I do know there's going to be more competition in the market. But until something happens economically that breaks the system in some way, that gives us some relief some way, it's going to be a challenging market for most people who want to relocate, that don't have the financial means to stroke a check whenever they feel like it. It's going to be challenging for those people, because the average Florida home costs somewhere between 8, 9, 10% of the median income versus 2.5% in the 1970s. And I know a lot of folks are waiting for the market to go back to 2020 prices. And I wish that was something that might happen. But short of a worldwide black swan event where it's the end of the world, it's not going to happen anytime soon. The average Florida home costs 8 to 9% more than the median income. That's a big disparity that puts most people out of being able to afford a home. And to put that into historical context, in 1970, it was only 2.5 times the median income to purchase a home. So inflation has skyrocketed, and the affordability issue continues to worsen. But on top of that, you've got property insurance, which has doubled in the last 3 years. You've got property tax spikes with every sale, and that's only worsening unless DeSantis does what he says he wants to do, which is eliminate property taxes in Florida completely for full-time residents. And if you don't think DeSantis is doing his best to get that done, well then, you should probably go vote for Mamdani. And irrespective of whether he gets it done or not, it is still more attractive to be in Florida due to the fact that there's no state income tax versus really anywhere else in the country. But if DeSantis gets that done, then I can tell you property values in Florida will skyrocket and the affordability crisis will only get worse. The other issue is HOA fees, right? They often exceed $1,000 a month, including insurance, in some markets. And not everybody has that kind of money. So affordability is a real issue for most buyers today, and it's only getting worse. During the pandemic, during the frenzy, the issue was supply. There simply weren't enough homes. And when there's very little supply and there's tremendous demand, prices skyrocket. There are more homes sitting on the market unsold right now in most markets than there have been in a long time. It's not supply that's the issue, it's the affordability. People can't afford to buy homes. So in order for affordability to get back into line with something that's reality-based for most people, prices have to drop. And when prices drop, it's terrible for the economy. When people feel like they're losing wealth, when people lose equity in their homes, which is something that most folks have not experienced in a long time, when they look and see negative equity, when they feel as if their home is a noose around their neck, it's not good for anybody. Psychologically, economically, spiritually, it's no bueno. And that could have a ripple effect throughout the market. But I don't suspect that's going to happen anytime soon, which is why the affordability issue is such a problem. So in order for affordability to become less of an issue, incomes must rise. And that takes time. And I think Florida will benefit from this because those job creators, those folks that are leaving New York, are bringing with them lots of jobs. They are bringing with them wages. They are bringing with them lots of service providers within the construction, building, home services, technology, wealth advisory space, AI, cryptocurrency. The people who are moving here are bringing economic benefits with them to the state of Florida. And the Florida housing market is going to benefit from the economic benefit of these folks setting down roots in Florida. So I suspect incomes will be on the uptick in the state of Florida. The next lever to affordability is the one that I think is most likely to happen, and that is rates dropping. Mortgage interest rates dropping. The Fed and Big Papa Powell are already too late as it relates to cutting rates. They should have, if they used the correct data, not the data that was manipulated and horseshit. As far as unemployment is concerned, they should have eased credit and monetary policy a while ago. So they're slow to react. But we also know that Jerome Powell's time is up soon. I suspect that his replacement, whomever it might be, is going to be a lot more inclined to ease credit in order to benefit the housing market. Because last I checked, Donald Trump is still president. And Donald Trump wants real estate values higher. So you can love Trump or hate Trump. The reality is he's good for real estate. He's good for home values. He's good for the economy. He's good for the United States of America. And if you don't agree with any of that, you probably should not move to Florida in the first place. Because the last thing any Floridian wants is for you to turn our red state blue. But to be clear, the Fed, Jerome Powell, whomever his replacement is, they don't control mortgage interest rates. The bond market controls mortgage interest rates. And when the Fed signals cuts, investors front run the move. I've talked to lots of people who are trying to time the mortgage interest rate market, and they always get it wrong because they always think it has something to do with the Fed. The reality is mortgage rates anticipate these moves, and they fall months before the Fed actually does anything. Mortgage interest rates price in what the anticipated changes are going to be in real time. So by the time the Fed makes the announcement, the mortgage interest rate drop has already happened. It's already been baked into the rate, and it happened months ago. It's buy on the rumor, sell on the news. And if you've watched mortgage interest rates during each one of the last Fed meetings, you'll notice they seem to always uptick right when Powell speaks. And it's because the smart money already made their bets. They've already priced it in. And right now, the futures market is pricing a 70% chance of a rate cut by December. And if the government doesn't open up and provide the data that the Fed needs in order to go through with those rate cuts, well then it's not happening. And mortgage interest rates will trade significantly higher. But my suspicion is that common sense will prevail and that won't happen. I do expect that these cuts will come through. I do expect that the government will open up, because what we're seeing right now is a complete travesty of justice, and it makes me sick, but I think we'll be back in business soon. And if the 10-year Treasury moves from 4.6 to the low threes, your 30-year fixed rate could be in the mid-fives. And if we are in the mid-fives as it relates to mortgage interest rates, we will unlock an enormous amount of ready, willing, and able buyers that are fully qualified to buy a home. And when interest rates are in the mid-fives, you can bet your sweet bippy there is going to be a massive refinance boom. A tidal wave of people refinancing out of their high interest rate into the lower interest rate, which gives them tremendous options. There are millions of homeowners right now at a 7 and 8% mortgage interest rate that will refi. And when they do, that will inject real cash flow back into the economy, back into the housing market. And those folks out there who bought with less than 20% down, when this refinance wave hits, they're going to be able to go out there and get rid of their mortgage insurance. They'll be able to drop their PMI, their MIP, their MI. Bye-bye PMI. And those folks who are stretched financially right now at the 7 and 8%, they're going to say hello to somewhere between $300, $500, $600 in savings when the mortgage insurance goes bye-bye. If you've talked to a lender over the last few years, I'm sure they've told you that the refinance boom is coming. And it hasn't happened yet. But with things materializing the way they are, and with Jerome Powell leaving office, I suspect the reality is it is coming soon. But in the interim, pricing and affordability is worsening. But I suspect relief is coming soon. Now, back to my relocation clients that are moving to Florida. But these clients, they gotta buy a home, they need financing, and they're not sure what to do, which product to get, which interest rate is best for them. Should they get a 30-year fixed, or can they take advantage of something different? Now, to be clear, adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs, these are not the subprime loans that crashed the market in 2008. They are required to be fully underwritten, and they don't allow for negative amortization. The days of no doc nonsense are gone. Must be fully underwritten up front and fully qualified for the mortgage, which is just a long way of getting to. The banks have become smarter and are not putting themselves in harm's way by taking on enormous risk for unqualified buyers. Unlike New York City, they refuse to do so. Now, here's why they're attractive to some buyers. ARMs right now today are somewhere between 75 basis points to 100 basis points lower than a 30-year fixed rate. To put that into practical terms, on a $700,000 loan, that's $400 to $600 a month. Over $25,000 saved in 7 years compared to a 30-year fixed. And the average homeowner sells or refinances every 4 to 7 years. So for some folks who are feeling the pain of the affordability crisis right now, they are thrilled to take the short-term discount to be strategic. But to be clear, I'm not here to sell you a mortgage, but I am here to tell you if you are considering getting a mortgage, you should run your numbers and you should make a decision in terms of strategic risk. Because when Powell is out, I would be dipped in shit if the mortgage interest rate market does not depreciate significantly. Well, this video has gotten way longer than I expected it to, and I certainly didn't think I was going to go down a rabbit hole talking about mortgages, but I've seen so much misinformation out there that I felt it was my fiduciary responsibility to share with you the truth, because yes, it is true. Right now, Florida is suffering a tremendous affordability crisis, and yes, I know that there will be an influx of relocation buyers moving to South Florida to max out South Florida living to the fullest, but I also spoke to one of my friends who happens to work in New York City, in Manhattan. He's a senior partner for an accounting firm, which I will not name, but I wanted to speak to him because I was curious what it felt like or what it feels like in New York today, in the city today. And I was actually kind of pleased, somewhat optimistic, somewhat happy when he told me it was kind of just business as usual. And his day-to-day activities hadn't changed at all based on the fact that Mamdani won. And I only share all that to say that the media will make you crazy. The clickbait headlines will terrify you. But the truth is, at the end of the day, New York City, the United States of America, the state of Florida will all be fine. So if you're even thinking of buying, selling, investing, relocating to Florida, please reach out. Chris Igo, 561-516-2442. We will find your dream home, dream lifestyle, and negotiate the best deal possible so you can max out South Florida living to the fullest. I hope you liked my video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and until next time,